Planting a tree in fertile and welcoming soil is already an adventure. Trying to do it in dead land is the achievement of a lifetime. Repeating that same madness millions of times is typically Auroville. It took more than 60 years to transform a desert into what we now call Bliss Forest, the forest within which the youth center was built. We are in the heart of the city, a few hundred meters from the administrative buildings, a stone's throw from the schools. Here, there are no trees in the garden of the houses, but houses hidden under the trees. Here, the native forest of the region is finally taking its first steps, protected by more resilient foreign species that ensure its growth. Here, the tall trees create the near future, and the small ones ensure the region's future. And in this whirlpool of newfound vitality, the animals return. The water has found a new haven of peace. Life is reborn at its own pace, like everything in this city that evolves according to the cycles of nature. There are several bike paths to cross the forest. Thanks to these, you can get anywhere in just a few minutes, in the most poetic way possible. Yet, this morning, a man is running on one of these red dirt paths. He was the first to notice a break in the bird's song, the noise of the JCB, its iconic bulldozers. When he arrives at the entrance of Bliss Forest, two of these metal giants are already at work, accompanied by various officials and several people filming the scene. I will talk to you later about the discontented ones, but let's say that a good number of them were accompanying the bulldozers, because in Auroville, some feel that development is not happening fast enough. And thanks to the new authoritarian administration imposed on the residents recently, they had found an echo for their dogmatic vision and thought they could use it to impose their vision of the city's future. They were therefore proud as peacocks. They would be able to remove those trees that stood uselessly in the path of the road they envisioned there. And as everyone knows, roads are exactly what the earth needs. They then began to massacre the trees. There are no other words. A JCB in a forest is like a car in a crowd. It mows down. But that was without counting on the conservator. He threw himself onto the moving bulldozer, preventing it from continuing. The tone rises, threats are flying. It is a government project. Opposing it is illegal, say the antagonists. The conservationist doesn't care. He tries to call for help on his phone while avoiding being crushed by the call of the JCB. The tension is palpable. A resident films the scene. He apologizes for shaking. The curator steps back. A woman takes his place. Then another resident, all under the arrogant smiles of their group's cameraman. The curator demands that they film a poor small shrub a few centimeters in diameter. It is protected and is actually older than the 30-meter giants creating the canopy. In a few minutes, more than 100 residents rushed in. It is a little past 9 in the morning. The day will be long, the night ahead even longer. But now, the bulldozers and their advocates are clearly in the minority. The residents are angry. Some stay under the cover of the trees to avoid being filmed. Others go to confront. The massacre stops. Resistance is organized. Water, coffee, and supplies to withstand the siege are being sought. Rumors say that the Foundation has called the police. The amusing anecdote from these first moments is that normally there is no cell signal in the forest. Aurovillians always refused mobile phone towers on this land to preserve the environment, but the new secretary, one of the key figures in these events, installed one for her personal comfort. Thank you, madam. The residents wait for the police. The dogmatics are stamping with impatience. The police arrive. The dogmatics demand to be protected in their divine work. The residents ask for an end to this nonsense. There is discussion. There is arguing. Meanwhile, calls are made to politicians and other high-ranking officials of all stripes. Finally, the police ask everyone to go home and invite the Aurovillians to find an internal solution. In other words, stop your childishness, we have other things to do. The massacre then stops for today. If we had known, but no, we did not know. So we did what a community does in times of crisis. It gathers together, it tries to make decisions. A few hours later, the planning and executive officials are summoned to answer for their actions. The scene is absurd. The disconnect between the residents and those they elected to manage the project is complete. Demands and votes are made for the immediate stop of the massacre and the resignation of the dogmatists. Then everyone goes home. But everyone feels a change in the energy of Auroville. A dark door has opened in the green paradise. The evening is tense. The first groups form on mobile phones, and for the first time this night, Many residents will not set their phones to airplane mode. We had experienced our first bombardment and were ready to face what came next. At least, that's what we thought. The night would prove us wrong. So wrong.